Hey guys, Ben is back in the house.
Woo!
And you can hear Albin's still here.
Yeah, I'm there.
Of course, he got his holidays during the better part of summer. Why is it better? Not necessarily because of the weather, but maybe because the days are longer, so you get more of it. Can't beat that technicality, can ya?
No.
So yeah, I've had 4 weeks off, and I've not done an ounce of work. Right? Yeah, we've been busy. We've got stuff going on here. We've got so much stuff going on here, and today we're actually going to ask you guys what we should work on. I thought before we get any further, we can talk a few things about the upcoming 5th Frontier War campaign, because we do have some stuff to show you. I know that Albin showed off some stuff. I'm going to show off some stuff. Lieselot and Albin are both sitting there painting their little butts off to try and get some awesome material. I thought I would light up the LED lights to celebrate my return, and then it kind of ended up looking a little bit like, the Sith Lord is back. In any case, let's start with some of the miniatures. The most recent one, I think this is the most recently painted one. This is our Zodani Grunt with a laser rifle. I'm trying to get it to focus. Come on. Stupid hair. I need a hat. Come on. Oh man, this is... I know Albin... Let's see if this works. Hide, damn it. There, it worked! My arm really hurts. But there you go, you got your grunt. Okay. At least I know this pose. So we do have, obviously, a bunch of other poses as well. We've got our Imperial Soldier. Come on, Imperial Soldier. Get my hand. There you go. Alrighty. Autofocus sucks. I think a really good job here, considering how tiny it is. We did cheat too and make a larger version. I'll explain this one in a little bit. So this is like, is it double the size?
Yeah, basically.
Basically.
Double the volume, I guess.
Yeah, alright. So that's a special pose, and this is actually going to be a free miniature. I'm going to explain this in a little bit. We should go live with the reserve page next week. We've got I think this is a Zodani officer in a seated position. Let's see. There we go. Arms crossed. We've got our Zodani officer with a pistol. There we go. Sorry, my fingers are in the way, and I'm really trying to keep myself out of focus. We've got our Imperial pilot / tank driver. Let's see. Come on, show my fingernails. Show my hands. I have no idea what's going on in the chat here, but yeah, this is a...
Looking forward to this. Even haven't painted minis in decades.
You know what? I hadn't either until like the last 2 days. It was for my Alien game, but still. Yeah, I'm sorry if I can't get this any closer with it being in focus, but... Oh, well, I tried. And the last one I'll show off is our Zodani officer without the helmet on. Let's see. I'm really hoping this will get in focus. There we go. So we've got the classic turban going on. So I'll try and get it closer. There we go. I reckon Lieselot's done a fantastic job. Albin's also stepping in. Of course, halfway painted. It's one that I definitely didn't do in my holidays. I actually got off the horn with Matthew Branch from Mongoose this morning, just to check in about like when we're going to go live and everything. and Mongoose has got our back on this one. Really appreciate that. We're officially licensed with them this time around. And this is my Rampart 3. So I happened to notice in some old lore that the Rampart in older material is referred to the Rampart 4 and 5. And I'm like, well, there must be a Rampart 3. So my idea is that this is a predecessor. It's still for painting, so this part actually slots in closer down there. Probably just made life difficult for Albin by doing that, but John is actually going to bring a clear resin screen for that when he comes on Monday. That's the other thing, John's coming on Monday, so he's coming to tune our printers and other stuff. I'm sure there's other stuff. But yeah, this I'm proud of, and Mongoose is going to start it up, so this is going to be official. But my idea being that the previous iteration is maybe a more expensive, less mass-produced version before the war, and then they're like, oh bugger, we have the Zos invading, we need to mass-produce something to resist them with. So that's the idea. Anyway, enough of my face. Not so many sunny days. Now that I've switched back, I can actually look at the chat. So let's see how we're going. So, g'day to Tamsin, Under, Solo Spirit, Eric, Shergel, Brian, Fabian, Will. Nice to see you guys. And yeah, it's nice to see that we haven't lost people, at least. So maybe Albin and John did a good job. I may or may not have sat in a couple of streams to make sure it did. So these are the two Imperial tanks before me that I have been working on prior to my holidays and a little bit today. From what I understand, they haven't been shown yet in Mongoose products. We had gotten sent the art, and we got sent the stats, but I think it's going to maybe be present in the in one of the two products coming out this month from Mongoose about the Fifth Frontier War. So I don't want to dig out the names at the moment. They're all a little bit hard to pronounce. But basically this is a light tank from the Imperial faction, and this is a main battle tank. Of course, they're both grav vehicles. I didn't have all the detail on the back on this one. I've still got some detailing to go there, and they're not quite as complete as Albin's tanks. Here there's also going to be a secondary turret. The description actually listed as having 2 side turrets, so we may have some variants on these. I don't know yet. Tamsin says you did a good job, and the turban looks like it would fit inside the helmet. And a smiley face. So
man, I'm glad that the investment paid out. Tamsin, wink, wink.
So aside from, I believe that Albin showed off the massive Zodani tank or Gravitic platform or whatever it's called last time. Was it painted up at that point?
I was masking it, wasn't I?
Oh yeah, so switch out the turret so they can see the old turret.
Yeah.
Because the one feedback we did get back from Mongoose was, oh, that turret looks big, doesn't it? And we're just kind of like, yeah, we based it on your art. And yeah, that would be bigger than a barbette on a ship. And then I also took a photo of it on the Beowulf, and it was nuts. Yay. So let me, go back to this close-up camera again.
Hello, stream. Nice to see you again.
So Albin, so actually... Let's see.
Yeah.
So this is the colorings it sort of has in the art. Sans, of course, the heraldry of the Zodani.
Yeah, that's right.
We have a temporary cockpit in there that you might recognize. But it is freaking massive. Mm-hmm. And that turret is just nuts. And considering the shapes that Albin had to work with, there's a lot of geometrical shapes, and 2D art versus 3D art, you have to find a compromise on this.
3D.
It kind of reminds me of back in the day when I was working on a Macross mod, and we were having transformable Valkyries. and we had to do a compromise between what the fighter mode and the Batroid mode looked like because it was more exaggerated to be a giant robot. Boom. In the... Thank you, Alan.
You're welcome.
Well, and actually, maybe we should show
put
the scale of the miniature compared to it. So that's a bit nuts, isn't it? But that's 37 D-tons.
Yeah.
And
we call it the Turtle. It's a tank shuttle.
It's a tank shuttle. Oh, that's the question I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Mongoose, are they meant to have engines on the back or not?
Oh.
Well.
Well.
Oh well. At least I spent all the time asking for free PDFs and marketing. Not quite true. Not quite true. It was nice to get to know them a little bit better too, because we mostly communicated via email. Anyway, so yeah, these are the tanks we're working on. What we did notice with the Zo tank is I knew that these were incorrectly calculated. Like if I turn on these boxes, what these boxes are, you can kind of see here, they're divided up into D-tons here, or half D-tons, and you can see the count there is 30. And then I'm like, oh, wait, that's not a D-ton, this is a D-ton. So this smaller tank is meant to be 15, the larger one is meant to be 30. So the actual sizes correctly would be here, and then you can see the size differences here. So the Zodani one is 37.5, the Imperial one is 30, this is a 15 D-ton tank. We've tried to stay close to the volumes, and yeah, we do have a version of the turret. I think this is actually the scaled down turret. We did a turret that's at 80%, which looks a little bit more reasonable compared to the other ones. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely taller. But then you also got to remember, just because a gravitic tank, we consider it similar to like a modern battle tank, right? But that's kind of incorrect, because these things can actually make it to orbit. So unlike a tank, which you want as low to the ground as possible to reduce visibility and profile, these are going to actually spend quite a long time coming down from orbit. So I'm guessing they've just got a ton of thick armor on the bottom to basically just mop up shots from the enemy, that sort of thing. Perhaps they are trying to overcome the vehicles do 1/10 damage to spacecraft. Spacecraft do 10 times damage to vehicles. Mm-hmm. Is that the way? Is that why it's DD? Anyway, I think some of these weapons should be able to damage starships by the size of them, because I mean, this is like almost, well, it's 37.5% the size of an actual, you know, like a scout in volume.
I think, was it like a fusion gun or something like that? Cannon?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to show off this scene where we're at, and actually prior to the stream I was working on this tank. I'm working on the smaller version first because I know all of the figures for that one. So these ended up being upscaled by about 1.5 times to get to the appropriate size, and you can kind of see there. If I calculated this one, I thought it was 30, it was actually 15. You can see that scaled up, this is quite a similar size. Volume-wise, it's not a perfect science. We're just trying to get to a sweet spot. And it looks massive on the table. The Zodani one in particular. And I think the tank will look very beefy as well. It's sort of like more spread out on the base. Looks more like a traditional tank. And for designs that I wasn't 100% feeling in the beginning, I think we're kind of finding our way with them. They don't look too bad. Especially when you look at different angles. So I think I need to do some more work on the bottoms here. But in general, we're getting close. As with a lot of things. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So we need to be in full production with this. Also, because of the holidays, I really was hoping to start promotion for this before I left for holidays, but I just couldn't get there. We ran out of time. The launch boom stuff we have to do is incredibly boring. I'm sure it's very good once you get it running, but advertising, that sort of thing, is not my forte, and so that's partially my fault. Hopefully, having the support of Mongoose behind us will help boost those figures, and we'd really like to... We're going to focus the advertising on people that don't have 3D printers, because John's going to print out the miniatures and tanks and that sort of thing, and of course our third-party producers will do that as well. If you want to wait, you can maybe even, you know... What I know with John is I know exactly the quality I'm getting, and we can sort of guarantee a certain standard. You can print them yourselves, or... Well, it's kind of like the difference between printing something in your home printer and being okay with the quality you can get out with it, get out of that printer, versus if you buy something you expect a higher standard, right? Anyway, that's in production. I'm going to switch over to one of the two projects we're going to work on today, and I better let you guys decide very soon. So I'm going to open up this little thing. I just saved that, so I don't think I need to save it again, which is my little space truck. So I was kind of watching some YouTube videos that were talking about space truckers, which is a film I have seen, and I was thinking this would be a great little addition to our tribes. A tiny little craft, the idea being that this is like a space truck cab. If you have seen the film, they had like this 3-engine configuration, and then like a central pillar there, and then you would have cargo containers in this direction, and this direction. I have made it compatible with the most recent Ox Star Lifter, so you could potentially swap out the cab. It does look enormous on that. So this is option 1 for working on today. Option 2 is something that's going to take me a good while yet to finish, which is the Typhon. And the Typhon has had quite a lot of work since last time. In fact, I'm in the process of test printing it. So this is the starboard side, right up to the midsection where those RCS clusters are. The bottom I actually need to swap out for this part, and the reason being I designed this to print like so, and then realized we had massive overhangs with these. So the other part I have down there, it actually I just used supports on that one. This one, it's quite tight. I want to be careful there, that sounded very snappy. So it just like has connectors there, so you can still print it in the same orientation. Put the engines down. This is something I'm sure John would be proud of. I guess it'll make it easier to paint too, to get into those nooks and crannies on the engines. So yeah, I'm happy with that and the way it's coming out. I also have started working on the port side, and the main differences, well, there's a lot. So why don't I show you? So cockpit, I'm almost finished here with this sort of little nook. I'm adding a little bit of detail on the exterior, but I'm not fully focusing on this part just yet. It'll print the same way as these regular screens. And of course, like, we all went and saw Alien Romulus as well, so maybe the alien themed stuff is in at the moment. I'd give it a 7 to 7.5 at the moment, so I'm quite happy with it. There were a few things that had in it that was quite unnecessary fan service, but yeah, I'm not gonna get into spoilers here. I'm gonna turn some of the lighting on here so you can kind of get a better impression, even though it'll make things a bit chuggy. So the last time we looked at this, God, I should almost open up the old scene to look and see what it was like, but we had our showers over here. God, that would not make much sense. Let me try that again. These showers were over here where I now have like a science station. We had 4 horizontal cryo tubes, and now we have the vertical ones that we put out this month on tribes. We have the same medical bed as before. You can see that these pipes that were featured on the Arabis now connects to this wall that hooks up to the central section. And even the corridors themselves have been expanded. Go ahead, take what you need.
Thank you.
I'm being reading. Those lights are just chugging things along way too much. So, and then this used to be the med bay. So the med bay is essentially moved into the same room as the hypersleep room, which kind of makes a bit of sense, right? And here you have your showers, your fresher, or I guess a toilet in this case, not a fresher. You got your lockers against this wall. And this was the thing that really bothered me, that you've got going directly into engineering from the med bay with all of these pumps, RCS pumps, showing up here. And it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right at all. So now it feels like it makes more sense. This is medical and where you wake up. The bridge is feeling more complete. The other major thing I did is we now have our computer center. The daughter system. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I've made this chair, so you've got your rotating chair. It's not got. Whoops, I rotated it in the wrong direction. So you can get to all these screens. I mean, the screen's a little bit larger, so a bit more luxurious than the Nostromo, right? But still having that sort of like vestibule little look to things. I'm probably going to mount some servers on the wall here with some. It's a very fine detail, but let me see if I can get my workshop files here, because we've got this wall. It's kind of hard to see, but I've got these like punch cards in this system, so I'm thinking of making like a wall of that up here, and maybe on this side as well. Figuring this out has been a pain in the butt, but basically I'm splitting this up into 2 parts, one that'll print like so. These are not the final forms, there'll be a base as well. So basically, so you can get in with a paintbrush, because if this was completely closed off, you'd have an issue. So, and then you've got the other side here. So again, not completely finished, but I've at least figured it out, and this was on the printer last night, so I have the base in. I have added some channels for support rods. At the moment, they're actually not needed, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes and if I need to modify some parts more. But yeah, using Lightning. I asked you guys on the Discord what kind of corners to use. These are the ones that we went with. I do like the soft forms around them. It's a good use of old tiles and new tiles. This is all new. The ladder well used to be here and go up in the middle. Now I offset it instead, so our cargo bay looks a little bit wider, with just a little nook here for the ladder. This does free up a little bit more room for cargo as well. So, you know, you can fit another 2 tons of cargo in there, right? And I added these windows that are kind of inspired by the engineering bay of the Nostromo. And this also widened out this sort of like, I guess, crawl space duct central thing which might be a good spot for the Xenomorph or Xeno Benjamin to live. And then some smaller changes with, let's see, I think we need to go up here, turn off the Typhon Deck. With the crawl spaces, basically, just to make it fit. Some of these parts are integrated, some of them aren't. You can kind of see here that these won't be fully integrated. Some of these parts might be integrated by the time we're finished with them. Yet to determine exactly how we're going to sort that all out. You can kind of see down here this is a mess. I'm considering pushing out this section just by an inch so it extends a bit further out, just so it feels more natural with the landing gear and this. I don't know if it's a laser or a sensor or a scope or something. But yeah, this might be coming forward just a little bit, I think, because we'll have landing gears up here and down here, and I don't want it to. I want it to actually be able to sit on those landing gear, and it feels like we might have to come just a little bit further forward to do that. We'll see. It is a big project. I was hoping to have it done by the end of this month. That's not going to happen. Hopefully the end of next month, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes into October since we're in full production again. And I realize like this is an item owed, but at the same time, I am making a lot of choices where I could have solved them a lot more simply than I have. So I think you're getting a better product, which is almost always the case, I feel. So yeah, the ducting system, I might change it a little bit over here on the underside, but otherwise we're all good. The workshop is also 1/2 inch wider, because these now mirror each other. Kind of see that we've gone for a more generic suitable wall. So we could probably fit in the workshop bench that Albin made in here instead. I haven't got that imported into this scene just yet though. So I'd like to, maybe by the end of next week, if possible, have the forward part of the ship up to B deck finished with the hull. But we will see. We will see. It's one of those things where you never know when you're going to bump into problems, and you know, it's just the way it's shaped can create some interesting challenges. Alright, I probably should have gone back to the chat all of this time, to be honest. So, and this also affects Deck A, which is in much rougher shape. You can see I've replaced the kitchen that we had before with the one that we had in the endurance version of Arabis. You can see here I haven't really reshaped these walls yet, but the ladder well is now in this corner. I'm considering ditching this bed, partially because it intersects. I think you could still comfortably fit in there, but I mean this drawer wouldn't work. But the other thing too is we have 4 hypersleep chambers and we have 5 beds. So if there's room to get rid of a bed, it would be over here. I do like the idea of asymmetry, but then it kind of like creates this mirror, right, where you've got the duct system going on in the background. Yeah, I'm gonna have to rework this wall, figure that all out. And ultimately I want to replace this power plant sort of system with something that feels a little bit more in keeping with the aesthetics of the rest of the ship. Let's put it that way. So yeah, lots of stuff going on this design. So now that I've bunged on for about half an hour, let's have a vote on what we should work on today. So the next half hour, what should we work on today? And the options are Typhon, and the other option is the space truck cab. Let's start the poll up. See what you guys think. Do 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 do. Will I get taken down for saying that? Let's see what the chat is saying. Ooh, tanks. I like that, Brian says. Looking forward to this, even if I haven't painted minis in decades. Yes, Albin said that. Fabian is saying hi from Berlin. Fabian, It was great what you wrote. I don't know if it was intentional, but one of the comments you made today, you accidentally kind of put German into your English sentence. I think you write "they" instead of "the" or something, so it came across as "sie." And there was another word in there as well. So I don't know if that was intentional, but it gave me a bit of a chuckle. Will Richards says, "Nice manicure." Yeah. Both Alvin and I were joking about that we keep forgetting to do our nails right before a stream, and I can tell you we use some tools in the office to get it working. Then the turban looks like it would fit inside the helmet. I think we read that one already. Nice work on the Zo tank. Those tanks remind me of the silhouettes of the counters in the old Grav armor game. Says Brian. Shergirl says, perhaps they're trying to overcome the vehicles. Okay, we talked about the damage thing, yeah. Yeah, the hardpoint weapons on the gig do spacecraft damage after all. Tamsin says, square pigs for a square meal, which is a Space Truckers reference.
Square pig.
Yeah, and Albin did make a square pig once upon a time. So we have that somewhere. I think it was a freebie. We could probably throw it up on the tribes again.
Yeah.
Actually, we're doing the space truck for the tribe.
Oh, that's perfect.
So I haven't asked Albin yet, but one of us is going to finish the truck, and the other one, it looks like the space truck is what's happening by the looks on the 73% of people voting.
Ooh.
And we've got 15 votes, which is about 60% of the audience. So get your votes in if you really want to work some more on the Typhon. Otherwise, we're working on the space truck. And I don't know, Alvin, how are you feeling? Are you sick of Zodani vehicles? Or would you rather do tanks?
I love them now. I've been completely incorporated into their mental, what do you call it, control system. And I appreciate the shapes so much.
So what I'm
not
hearing...
sarcastic at all.
Would you prefer to work on Imperial Tanks next week or the space truck? Or do you want to see what the space truck is like this session before you make your decision?
Sounds like a plan.
So, space truckers, I don't have this all set up so we can hide things. I guess maybe I could just hide the side here, but essentially in the film Space Truckers they have like this rotating airlock thing in the middle. The doors aren't as wide as we've got here. These are probably unnecessarily wide, but hey, I'm going to leave them. These shaders are really bothering me. I don't know why they're this color of white. I'm gonna blame Albin for it, for no good reason. Let's see if we just make that a standard surface shader. No, that's not the right color. Let's try for a... See, this is what happens with mess scenes. What happens if I just try Lambert 1? Nope, wrong color. That was what it was. Let's go for dark grey 1. Nope. Dark grey 2. Nope. Dark grey 3. Dark what now? That's too dark. Oh, come on. I can't win with this. What are the shaders on this thing? Let's actually look. So we have Lamb Dark Grey 1, Lamb Panel 2, Lamb Dark Grey 5. Okay, so it's one of those ones. So let's try Lamb Panel 2, wherever that might be. Lamb Panel 2. Is that it? Nope. Yes, no, nope, nope. So then Lamb Dark Grey 5 must be the one. No! Alright, that can just bother me then instead. It's closer to where it's meant to be, but it's not correct. Oh well. So the idea is you'll have a little airlock vestibule in here. I guess maybe we have a wall there. I don't know that this will be the placing of the floor airlock. I think we might have to move this a little bit further back. Because the idea being, actually if I'm finished here, I can save the scene. I hope that was in the right project. Yes. And we'll change the project to tribes, and I'm going to open the
gates.
the gates. The thing called Star Mastodon. It's not where that's where the ox is from. And it'll take a little while to load in. In the meantime, I always pictured traveler commercial ships with that type of corridor, but a horizontal ladder in case of grav failure.
Grav failure.
Sugar almost needs the front docking tube airlock A. Let's see, we have a comment from Brutal Brandon. I build a lot of armor models, and that thing makes them look real. Besides distressed paint, rust, etc., is operators, pilots, drivers, and ancillary figures like lifting hooks, exterior stowage. I'll keep that in mind. Modder sounds closer to mother, but at least 25% difference. Yes. It doesn't work so well in Swedish where it's mamma. It sounds very... Snälla mamma, döda inte oss.
Mamma! I fixed it.
Crew expendable.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get back into this. I'm missing the monthly picture show where you presented community work. I miss that too, to be honest. We need more of that. So yeah, sorry. The Star Ox here. And this is another variant I was working on that's just a little bit bigger and enclosed. So you can kind of see though, the docking section has this. So this section here is meant to mate with that. And I think it would probably work a bit better if it was like an inch further back. You can kind of see the square here that's going to be about an inch or about 25.4 mil. And I mean, I've rewatched parts of Space Truckers, and what I've kind of been thinking about this cab is you kind of need like a place to sleep. It feels like, you know, there was a crawl space, that the cab was actually a bit bigger. I don't want to go too nuts in this. And this is very much supposed to be like a space vehicle. I'm kind of thinking like, if you had to take it into an atmosphere, it does a water landing, because these kind of feel like pontoons. So yeah, I'm just gonna undo enough so that we get the side of the ship back. Unless I crash Maya. So we're working on this. Should we do some hull work, or should we do some interior layout? I want to, let's see, I've got a new tab on Google, so maybe we can just do a search for like Space Truckers cab. And let's see what we can get here. I guess that is at least from Space Truckers. What was the name of the brand? I keep forgetting. So here it is, and we should be able to see it's Pachyderm. So if we search that instead, we just get the cab as it was. The really kind of cool, hot-rodded sort of...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is the best picture maybe. So like if I just open this in a new tab, in a new window actually, it should... Oh, no, it didn't center it. But there you go. There's your Space Truckers cab. Cool little film. It's a bit campy on the... It's definitely a B film. Dennis Hopper and... I think, what's his name? Steven Dorff is in it as well. But it's fun. It's like one of those last sort of model-based sci-fi films from the late 90s, I think. Very unknown. A bit silly, but lovely design. And I believe it's actually a Ron Cobb design, which...
Kind of makes sense.
You guys know I love Ron Cobb, and let me actually just do that. Ron
Robin.
Cobb
From all these belongings.
Space Truckers, because I'm pretty sure he has on his site a section on it. Yes, he does. or had, I guess. So you can kind of see his sketch for the same thing here. So this is very much in our wheelhouse. There's a couple of hints here that didn't make it. You can kind of see this is looking more spaceshipy than trucky. But we've still got, you know, the brand name on it. This says 94, so I'm guessing the film must have come out in 95 or 96. Dalton says, I keep thinking of ships that are dented or missing plates, etc. Yeah. Yes, Charles Dance was the bad guy in it. Let's see. One of the things I don't see in any of your designs, but is seen in many sci-fi designs, is exposed superstructure. Yep. No. Fair enough. We did have some with both the fuel module for the modular cutter has that kind of superstructure, and also our cargo pods for the Sleipnir had them. So yeah, this is kind of the inspiration and the kind of shapes we're looking for. I don't know that there's any interior images here. Whoops, I keep forgetting his site. It's kind of special. So here's another design. They did a bunch of different designs for them, and most of them ended up getting used. They're all kind of cool. But this particular one is the most like an actual truck cab. And you can kind of see it's got like fake smokestacks and you know, exhaust and lights, and at the same time you can see the RCS system on it, and yeah, very thoughtful, and it looks really cool. We're probably not going to go this detail because it's still just a Tribes release. It's something we need to get done in, you know, 4 or 5 days of work. What we've got now took me about half a day to get to this because we threw in a couple of models from different places. So yeah, it's just the cab for now. I don't know if we'll ever have a trailer or anything, but I think it's a cool addition. It's a nice little monthly thing. And it will be maybe an alternative to, you know, other shuttle models that we have. So there's a couple of things we can do with the whole work. I feel at the moment I'm in great risk of just talking my way through the last 20 minutes here, but because it is an interesting film to sort of set up with some great kind of detail and like fantastic model work. Honestly, just brilliant stuff, and I believe they had quite a lot of freedom with what was going to be seen in the film. So I think reference-wise, this is the kind of like most interesting thing here. This kind of merges a lot more with the whole, whereas if we look here, you have some RCS in there, some lights, and this is like the practical translation to a physical model, right? So we need to make some compromises. I was thinking we could... Actually, it's not a bad idea, keeping the lights on there. I kind of like that. It has a ton of lights, but a lot of trucks do as well. What would you guys want to see on this truck? Let me know in the chat. Pachyderm is elephants, yes. There's like an elephant logo on the front. You can kind of see it there. Sorry, I can't make that bigger. So yeah, we're going to have a cab. I think you would want a sleeper unit, right? Anything you would have in a long-haul rig. Question is, do we waste space by having an airlock wall here? So it's like a sealed airlock section. Or should we focus on having more stuff in here? And should we get rid of one of these airlock doors? Like, for example, this is the port side of the ship, right? So maybe you only need an airlock on that side, and then one at the back for the cargo. Yeah, what do you guys reckon? Let's see. Well, it needs a mounting for a Benjaminin on the front. Agreed. It definitely does.
Like a hood ornament? Or?
Yeah, like a hood ornament. Yeah. So, yeah, I think definitely you need a Benjaminin on the front. That makes a lot of sense. Maybe we'll have like an interchangeable hood ornament, so you can choose what you want. Imagine if you had like a space truck hood ornament. So it's like it mirrors itself down. Totally useless in space, but air horns. Yeah. I mean, I think we do want some kind of smokestack. We need some RCS on that, right? The reaction control system. And that could be something to map out. I think too, we could probably... Where am I going with this? I'm going back to here. We could either take some from this, or I think actually we're better off going back to our good old Arabis. Let's see. Let's see. Arabis and Typhon. Don't save this scene. I did do a little bit of other Maya work on the holidays. Looking at the hammerhead. I could maybe show that off before the end of the stream, assuming it's synced. You can get it loading after this thing. The Scout Ship Beta is something I've wanted to revisit to give it a sort of like an overhaul since we did the Beta Centauri variant. But yeah, here in the Arabis we have these, and I think these look like they could be more interesting to repurpose. So I'm gonna just duplicate that, and I'm not gonna worry about references, I'm just gonna paste it into here. That's odd, why didn't that work? Did that just duplicate that for some reason? What on earth happened? Okay, let's try this the guaranteed way. That would be edit. Actually, we want to get it off the layers too, so we don't want to copy those. So we'll go into here and we will remove that model there and we'll copy that. Actually, no, we'll go edit copy. And we will edit paste, because this is a more guaranteed way to make sure it actually comes in. So we should have it in the scene now. Of course that is not lined up correctly, but we want to rotate this now so that basically these thrusters are going to be pointed in the correct orientation. So there's a couple of operations we need for this to work. I'm going to turn my grid back on. Hopefully it's not, yeah, it's tiny. Okay, so let's go to modify the grid with display grid. Let's drop it down to 4. And the reason why is I'm going to make a dummy object, and it's just going to be a simple triangle. Let's see, we want the grid snap. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to find a suitable triangle on this thing. And, or rather, yeah, we'll see how it works. So what we need to do is we need to grab 3 vertices in a triangle and then match them to this. Whoops. There we go. So we've got 2 objects open, and then we're going to do, this probably won't work first go, but we can try it. Modify, and then we're going to go snap line objects, 3 points to 3 points. Hey, it worked. But now what this did is it looked where this triangle was and tried to match the one selected as best as possible. So now you can see this is actually aligned to the grid. And if we freeze the transformations and actually like move, we need the snaps back on. If we move to this corner here, looks like the right one, and follow the grid, what you should be able to see now is that all of this is flat against the grid. See, we can see. So now we know the orientation is right for the base version. Now, of course, these are at an angle, and it looks like it's a 45-degree angle. So if I duplicate this again and just Want to get this plate with the thrusters on it. We can delete some of the geometry around it, like so. Whoops, no, we took too much. There we go. We'll grab along here on the sides too. Just looking for areas so that I can separate things. So like there. Let's expand those. And now that's free, and now we just need to remove the bottom stuff. And technically we could have used the same technique to, so I'm just going to select the parts I want remaining and invert selection. So I know this is at a 45-degree angle. Fortunately we have tools for that, so if I just center this pivot, we could have used the same trick I used with the triangle. In this case, I think we would need to make sure that we had a new, all of these polygons don't look like they're actually square. You kind of need like a square 90-degree connection to make sure it does sync right, but technically all we need to do here is just rotate this 45 degrees. And if I freeze the transformations here and we just move this back into the corner, we should be able to take this down to the grid, and sure enough, it's flat against the grid. You can see it right there. So now we can center the pivot again, and we've got a base object that we can then use to set out at various points on this vehicle. Now, this RCS system, reaction controlled system, used for, this is the kind of thing if you're looking at a more realistic sci-fi, like this was off our Sleipnir, which of course is based on the Rocinante. So these would be the thrusters that you use to adjust the attitude of a starship in a vacuum. So basically what turns the ship and orients it correctly, right? Let's see what else people want. If you make it so I can replace the side door with a suit locker, it would go well. Yeah. You mean you don't want any airlocks on the side? Howdy all, welcome back Ben, thank you Brian. Pushing and pulling hooks, right? Okay, yep. There are very few pics on IMDb of the filming model. Yeah, you kind of need to look specifically, like search Pachyderm and Space Truckers. And you can also, there's like some great videos on YouTube that's behind the scenes with the model workers. I'm trying to think what the name of that is, but that's what I saw recently to get inspired by this. So part of the reason why I've modeled so much during the holidays is just because I've been bored. We haven't had too many sunny days. Most of the reading I do has been at night, and I was just between games. Like I played some Fallout London, and then I was bouncing back between a new patch of 7 Days to Die, and yeah, I just didn't get any new games to play basically. So you kind of have some options here with the shape of the ship. In one sense, we could have the thrusters being in a mirroring range, so you have like some down the bottom. Obviously we've got these launch thrusters. I think this is just a different shader on it, which is where this is happening. See, now my voice is breaking up. Mostly because of not using it so much while I'm on holidays. I think one of the big issues here is this is a bit too big at the moment. So what we will do is I'm going to take every vertex here and then disinclude these handholds from my selection. Oh, they're not actually very symmetrical at all. Well, this is 2020 Ben that made this thing. It's a mess. It'll do though. So what I'm going to do is actually scale this down by just 20% is all I've done at the moment, I think. Let me see, it might be 25%. Let's do this one more time. Yeah, 20%. And then I'm just going to grab these again and move them over. So here we're probably not going to lose a whole heap of detail. I'm going to make my grid smaller as well, so let's go into grid and let's change this to 16 iterations. Alright, yep, we can live with that. Apply, and then I'm just going to move the pivot point to, I think, the outer edge of this, such as it is, like so. So it's not perfect, we might have to change a few small things. But the idea being, whoops, we want that to still be in the correct orientation. Right, yeah, we need to snap it to there, sorry. So I'm just moving that back onto the grid. So you can see it's basically symmetrical. I could probably redo this, to be honest, but too much work at the moment. Really, I could probably just grab these handholds too off of the airlocks. Let's see, what are people saying? By the way, I love the changes you made to the Typhon. Thanks, Shadow Liger. I hope you had a good holiday. I did. Yeah, it was just too short. It always is. So now you can kind of see, even 20% makes a huge difference size-wise. And if we start moving this out to sort of place, you can kind of see this looks more reasonable. It's still quite large. But the question is, like, how are we going to align these? So we've got our final version. You've got some front thrusters here. So some on the front at the hood is probably a good idea. We might get rid of those handles altogether by the time we're finished. But let's just orient this so we get a bit of an idea about how we want the layout to be. So if we've got some thrusters at the back, technically the ideal layout is to place them in such a way so that they're evenly distributed along the hull. Let's duplicate this. Something like that, right? Is that right? It should be over a bit further. It looks more right. So you have to use your imagination a little bit, but if we've got these on the front, we also need them on the back, although technically the engines can work, but we do need to think about the fact that the cargo is in certain places. So I'm going to wait with the rear. I think we might have to have some thrusters like here. Yeah, that's going to be slightly harder to figure out, but mostly the issue is it's going to interfere with where the I don't know. I mean, nothing has to be perfect. This is just a cool design, right? But Dr. Minnen. What is that? I'm kind of curious to see what John brings with him, because he has. I think that's how we got Benjamin's the first time around. Like, I know he made them and he put them on tribes, but so here we go. On the top, something like that. Now we could have put them on this angle. I'm not quite finished with it yet. I want this to be a little bit more curvy than what it currently is. This is more like just a block out. There we go. So we've got some there. You would need some a bit further forward as well to counterbalance that. So I'm going to leave these. Actually, no, I will angle these just a tiny bit. Let's see, maybe if we put this there and then just change the angle slightly. Assuming the thrusters can be moved just a tiny bit if necessary. Something like that, and like that. And then I guess we need some on the bottom. Right, so I'm going to grab these ones that I know are flat. And we need some on the side as well. But we'll get to that. So let's flip these around. And I guess we could leave them where they are. I'm going to move them in just a little bit. And I'll probably flatten out the base. So something like that. And then we need some at the front as well. Let's fix the angles on these and try to get it exactly underneath. So let's go to 0 there, and then actually minus 90. Oops, maybe 90 is where we want it. Yes, there we go. Let's just go down to the bottom. So we'll have to rearrange this a little bit to make it make sense. But it will be about there, and then I guess we come back with this section a little bit. So we're probably, I don't want to grab anything up there. There we go. Let's go back this way. So yeah, I don't know exactly, maybe we'll move that a little bit for, oh man. I did that wrong, I didn't duplicate. So put 90 there again, and let's go down, and I think we'll just move them a bit further forward. So let me know if you guys are excited by the prospect of a space truck. Am I barking up the wrong tree, or is this something you guys will like? I am kind of basing this on stuff that our surveys have revealed. So it's not all just completely blind. Now we need some side ones. So let's just rotate this 90 degrees this way. And 90 degrees this way. And place them out. So it will have to be angled again, I guess. And you probably want that fairly high up. Technically there's like a lot of thrusters on this thing. Maybe we'll actually rotate this so it's standing instead for something a bit different. Probably want that like about there. And then, not ideal, but we can put this up here maybe. So we might have to rearrange the way that that's sort of spread out. But in general, aside from rear thrusters, which technically we don't need because we've got engines, although that's assuming those engines can be adjusted for very small thrusts. We might need to add some additional ones there, I'm not sure. But it kind of is in keeping with the space truck vibe, where you probably want to mostly be braking or maneuvering. Yeah. Brian likes it. Jag tycker om det. Bra. Jättebra. Is it Smoking the Space Bandit? Solo Spirit says, I'll be printing it. Has anyone ever read Nathan Lowell game Tales from the Golden Age of the Solar Clipper? No, haven't read that one. You need a space truck to deliver space beer in the laser cannon run. Needs an obvious big old fuel tank. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Good point. There's lots of good points. I don't know if like maybe these things are the tanks, right? I'm not sure. I mean, obviously it's not actually going to use fuel in the same conventional way, so I don't know. I think this will be close to the form. Whether or not it's me or Albin that does it, I don't know. We will see what Albin says. But for now, it is 4:05, so we're gonna have to wrap things up. We need to get some marketing done before we finish up for the week. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. It's nice to be back. It's nice to see so many familiar names in the chat. It's nice to see the chat cranking it out. Oh, look, we ended up just getting back down to the space truck cab. It's barely winning now at 56%, but we got 25 votes, which is actually more people than we have on here, so I don't know what's going on. I'll end that poll. And yeah, we will. Yeah, maybe it's not reporting exactly what it is, but it's good to be back, guys. Stay tuned. Next week we will be officially launching the Fifth Frontier War campaign, or rather the sign-up page. People that sign up, this little guy will be an exclusive pose. Let me get this closer. See if I can get it to focus on my fingers again. There you go. Pretty bodgy lighting, but and of course I'm painted. So we're gonna have physical and STL versions, and obviously if you back physical, you will get this miniature in physical. If you back in STL, you'll get it in STL, and that's assuming you do the $1 deposit for that one. So. It is like this launch boom technique that is basically like if you're willing to put in $1 now, you're much more likely to back later. We're testing it out as a method. We'll see how popular or unpopular it is. And of course, you don't have to sign up for that. You can just put your name down to be mailed out when it goes live. Or just sign up for the Kickstarter page as usual. Anyway, that's it for us for today. Thank you for joining me. And from me and the rest of the team, next week we'll have John in the flesh. And yeah, looking forward to it. Bye, guys.
Bye.